6 years into the marriage, my husband was keeping a young girlfriend on the side. When I confronted him, he shrugged. I'm just having a little fun. It's the mistake every man makes. Try to understand. I said nothing. What he didn't know was that I was keeping a young boyfriend on the side. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and tell us in the comments where you're listening from. Mason had cheated again. This was the third time I'd caught him. He seemed to favor the subterranean garage for trysts. Every discovery had been in a parked car under the concrete dimness. Seeing the two of them glued together, mouths frantic, I pretended I hadn't noticed and turned away. Mason spotted me, shoved the girl aside, muttered something, and sent her driving off. Back home I headed straight for the bathroom, desperate to shower and sleep. The man outside marriage had been unusually fierce lately, leaving marks on my skin. Before I could close the door, Mason pushed in. Iris, relax. I only play around outside. I stayed silent. Impatience flickered across his face. It's the mistake every man makes. Try to understand. He probably thought I was heartbroken. In truth, I only wanted to hide the hickey on my neck. Here, don't be sad. He drew a black card from his wallet. Take this. Buy whatever you want. No limit. The first time I'd caught him, he'd apologized. When that failed, he trotted out the same line. I'd wept and raged. And he'd offered a card then too. Furious, I'd flung it back and slapped him. He'd left without a word. Later he'd flown the girl to Paris for half a month. I knew it was deliberate punishment. His way of showing displeasure. This time I accepted the card calmly, tucked it into my purse, and went upstairs. Mason watched, brows knitting, apparently dissatisfied. A ringtone interrupted. It was Dylan. I stepped onto the balcony and answered. Iris, did you miss me? I don't know about you, but I missed you. Can we meet tomorrow? We just parted. Tomorrow's impossible. I'm working. Next week, I'll bring you a gift. His sweet wine over the line melted the bitterness away. Mason was right. Youthful flesh was delightful. After a few weeks I felt younger myself. I'd barely hung up when Mason appeared behind me, startling me so badly my good mood evaporated. Who were you talking to? His tone irked me. A client. His face darkened. He clearly didn't believe me. What client calls this late? The interrogation grated. Why are you hysterical at this hour? I said it's a client. Stop being paranoid. Not everyone behaves like you. Mason's face went livid. In the bathroom I studied the mirror. The marks on my neck were mostly hidden by hair. When I came out he was still there. He moved closer the moment I appeared. Iris, we haven't. I cut him off, pulling free. Another day. Work's exhausting. He exploded, slamming the door on his way out. That had been his version of an olive branch. We hadn't truly talked in ages. Once we'd been crazy in love. In college I joined an outdoor trip caught by a landslide. We were trapped overnight awaiting rescue. In the silent terror Mason arrived with the search team, clothes rumpled, face smeared with dirt, limbs scraped raw. The instant I saw him my panic dissolved. A rescuer told me he'd searched for 2 straight days. I vowed then to stay with him forever. I never imagined that 8 years after our wedding Mason would cheat. Love's expiration date is shockingly short. On Saturday Dylan texted, Iris, I reserved a private room at Celestial and ordered all your favorites. Say you'll come. I answered okay. I'd met him at Lumina. Another Mason discovery had left me low. My best friend, exasperated, dragged me out to switch moods. Men hit on me within minutes. I decided the place wasn't for me and headed out. At the entrance Dylan was lecturing a drunk who'd harassed a girl. I threatened to call the cops. The drunk slunk off. Hi, I'm Dylan. I'm Iris. A bright grin lit his face. I know, we've met. I blinked, unable to place him. I go to NYU. 2 years ago you spoke at the design summit. I was the MC. We exchanged numbers. Met for meals. One tipsy night we tumbled into bed. Youth really is superb, handsome, eager. I drove to Celestial, found the private room, and paused. Next door I heard Mason and his buddy. You've been seeing Lily a lot lately, bro. Mason said nothing. Chase raised an eyebrow. Wait, you're serious? Thought it was just fun. Mason shot him a look. Who says I'm only having fun? What about Iris? A beat. She's 31 now. Like wood, zero thrill. Chase clicked his tongue. So divorce her? No, I'll never divorce her. She'll always be my wife. Chase chuckled. Smooth. Ice crawled through me. So this was how my husband saw me. If he no longer loved me, why refuse divorce? Did he think me easy to control? My feet felt anchored in lead. Part of me wanted to storm in and rage, as in the old days, but I knew the outcome wouldn't favor me. Iris, you're here. I've waited ages. Come inside. Dylan's voice tugged me back. I let him lead me away. Inside, he sensed my mood. Don't be sad, Iris. I'll stay with you always. All right? The starry devotion in his eyes made me realize he'd staged the eavesdropping. I closed my eyes, exhaled, and stared straight at him. You set this up, and don't call me Iris. face. He neither admitted nor denied, only blinked and poured tea. Don't be mad. I only wanted you to see the cheater. Sorry it hurt you. Hurt. Ever since Mason's first affair I'd lived in low-grade pain, and today was no better. I stood. Next time, I'm heading home. At noon the next day an unknown number sent several photos, bare torsos, fingers entwined, intimate, unmistakable. Though faces were hidden I knew the man was Mason. The sender could only be his little girlfriend. I smirked, so impatient to claim the throne. I typed photos saved. We're still married. Every dollar he gives you is community property. When my lawyer is done you'll cough it all back. The pictures vanished instantly. I thought the shared assets made divorce messy. No love left. But the money mattered. Now I intended to rethink everything. Since that afternoon with Dylan we hadn't met. My mood bottomed out. I applied for unused vacation days and flew overnight to Mom's in Portland, Oregon. Margaret stared at me, so shocked she couldn't speak. Back when Mason and I first got together she had flatly refused to approve, convinced the gap between our families was too wide and I would only lose in the end. He likes you now. What about later? You really think he'll love you forever? His mother already dislikes you. Once you're married, the moment he stops loving you, what are you going to do? But I was high on new love and wouldn't listen. I insisted on marrying him. After the wedding my mother refused to speak to me. At the time Mason promised he would prove his sincerity to her and be my strength forever. I never imagined her warnings would come true so quickly. Seeing my face, Margaret instantly knew something had happened. You look like you're in mourning. I told you you'd get hurt. Did Eleanor give you a hard time? At the sound of her voice my throat closed. I managed a soft, "Mom." She didn't say anything more, just pulled me into her arms. Enough. You're home. That's all that matters. Mom can still afford to feed you. Come inside. I'll cook something good. Sitting in the kitchen eating the wontons she wrapped, I felt life seep back into me. I ended up staying 2 weeks. That evening Mason called. Iris, where the hell are you? Do you even remember you have a home? You're out gallivanting all day. Do you still think of yourself as a married woman? I hadn't checked my phone. The moment I picked up he unloaded on me. I hung up. The phone rang again and again. Relentless. When I finally answered I struck first. Can't speak like a civilized adult. Where I go, why should I report to you? His voice sounded like he was swallowing rage. You're my wife. I have every right to know. Oh, really? I said, and hung up again. The next night someone hammered on the door. When I opened it Mason's face appeared. Taut. Clothes rumpled. Dust on his shoes from the road. He froze for a second, then looked shaken. You're really here? We both knew the answer. Because I'd insisted on marrying him. My mother had sworn I would never cross her threshold again. Now not only had she let me in, I was living here. When Margaret appeared Mason looked guilty. Seeing she said nothing, he thought he still had a chance. He tried to step inside, but Leo blocked him. Mom says outsiders stay out. Mason bristled at my brother's tone, but didn't dare push it. Before, though Mom disapproved, she had stayed polite, and Leo had been respectful for my sake. Today neither played along, afraid a war would erupt. I walked Mason outside. I'll handle this. Leo stepped back only after a cold snort. We stood on the porch in silence. Finally I spoke. Mason, let's get divorced. His brows slammed together. On what grounds? I almost laughed. How dare you ask that? He pulled out a cigarette, remembered I was there, and put it away. Because I cheated. I told you that was an accident. You'll always be my wife. I still love you. Looking at this handsome, arrogant man, I remembered Mason at 20, when I'd been everything in his world. He wouldn't let me stay sad because I gorged when I was upset. I loved Sichuan cuisine, so he learned to cook it just to make me smile. But that boy existed only in the past. 20-year-old Mason was gone. 29-year-old Mason stood in front of me. Mason, what are we now? I don't want a cheating husband, and you wouldn't want a cheating wife. Let's spare each other. He blinked, then sneered, threatening me with cheating to force a divorce. Iris, I know you. You'd never do that. I won't sign. I'll break it off with her if that's what you want. Tired of arguing, I said, I'll have my lawyer send the papers. Think it over, or I'll file for divorce. He lost control and kicked the jasmine plant I'd put there. He once heard I loved jasmine, so he bought the best one from the nursery. It had thrived for years. Now it lay shredded. I'm telling you, no divorce, he growled, and strode away. I stared at the mangled jasmine, lost in thought. I'd hidden at Mom's long enough. My leave was over. Time to face things. While I was off-grid Dylan had texted nonstop. I hadn't replied. This fling needed to end. As I weighed how to tell him, his call came through. Iris, I messed up. Don't ice me out, please. I had no idea how he'd learned Mason would be at Celestial. Maybe he had secrets of his own. I steadied my voice. Dylan, we're done. Don't contact me again. Tell me what compensation you want and I'll handle it. The line went cold. Why? You still love Mason that much? Then, small again, Fine. I don't want to make things hard. Can we see each other one last time, please? Alright. That final meeting he was insatiable, wearing me out. When he dropped me off he pinned me in the elevator, kissing me long and hard. This was goodbye. So I let him, though kindness can be dangerous. Just as we pulled apart, a furious roar cracked the air. What the hell are you two doing? Dylan turned with a smug grin at Mason. He whispered against my ear. Looks like we've been caught, Iris. Before I could blink they were swinging fists. Blind rage on both sides. Enough. Stop it, I shouted. They froze. Mason looked up, eyes blazing with anger and hurt. Iris. Why? Was I so terrible? Couldn't I satisfy you? You had to run to some toy? Even now, disheveled. Mason was unfairly attractive. I hadn't seen him this furious since college, when I took a part-time job to buy him a birthday gift and a machine sliced my leg. The store refused responsibility. He paced the hospital corridor shouting into his phone, then knelt by my bed promising I'd never get hurt again. The next day the shop was shut. I sighed, ignored him, and helped Dylan up. Iris, come with me. I'll handle everything, Dylan said, calm and commanding, nothing like the soft boy who'd begged me earlier. This is my mess. I'll clean it up, I said. Mason, already on edge, exploded when I turned to another man. Am I invisible? Standing right here. Dylan rolled his eyes. You think you're the center of the universe. You've screwed half the women in Riverdale, New York. Don't act heartbroken now. He snorted. Anyone think you were some prince of romance? Stung. Mason fired back. And you're better. Living off women? How noble. I've seen 100 like you. Another round of bickering. The noise gave me a headache. I grabbed my bag and walked away. I flicked on the lights the second I stepped inside, then started dialing my lawyer to ask how solid my odds were if I filed for divorce. Before I could finish the question, the door burst open and Mason strode out of the shadows. His face was wrecked. Hair tousled. The normally knife-pressed suit yanked askew. Fresh cuts glared on his cheek. He and the other guy must have gone another round after I left. I didn't want to care. I started for the bedroom the moment I saw him. I never made it. He seized my wrist. Eyes glacial. Explain tonight. I couldn't twist free, so I exhaled in defeat. Explain what? You saw everything. Or do you need an apology? Silence. Fine. Sorry. Happy now? He still said nothing. Pupils sinking darker. His mute act lit my fuse. I jabbed my elbow into his chest and wrenched loose. Enough, Mason. I apologized. What more do you want? You can cheat, but I can't. He froze. The first time I'd caught him, I'd raged for weeks. He shattered a vase and shouted, Iris, drop it. I said I'm sorry. It was just fun. Everyone does it. It meant nothing. Now, caught off guard by the hit and my words, he stared like I'd sprouted horns. Got it, Iris. Revenge. Huh, why like this? I rubbed the red bracelet his fingers had left around my wrist and almost rolled my eyes. Think bigger. Revenge doesn't need this, but you did give me ideas. And you know what? It felt good. Turns out I don't have to stay addicted to you. I understand now, and I'm done. Let's stop drowning. Mason, let's divorce. Bloodshot eyes raked my face as if he'd never seen me. Through clenched teeth he hissed, fine, divorce. But when you come crawling back, don't expect me to wait. A vase exploded against the wall. The door flew open under his kick, and he was gone. I drafted the divorce papers and drove them to Sterling headquarters in Manhattan. I thought he'd sign quickly. Instead, he vanished, ignoring every copy I sent. Saturday, Richard's birthday. I packed a gift and headed to the Sterling Ancestral Manor in Greenwich, Connecticut, planning to announce the divorce after cake. The moment I crossed the threshold, Eleanor cornered me. Iris, the chefs have almost everything ready. Only your signature pastries are missing. Hurry, your father and I have been craving them. Back when Mason and I first married, Eleanor loathed me. She'd brandish icy barbs and once slid a check across the table to make me disappear. I swallowed it all, convinced I'd grow old with her son. I even apprenticed under an Asian pastry chef because she loved delicate sweet treats. She's civil now, maybe even fond, though it hardly matters. Truth is, the head chef took a pastry course in Paris. He can replicate my recipe. I've simply played along each visit out of habit, watching her issue the order like I was kitchen staff. Exhaustion rolled over me. Mother, I'm not feeling great today. Let the chef handle it. Her smile collapsed. Impossible. His version is close, but we can taste the difference. We're used to yours. I walked past her and dropped onto the sofa. Eleanor blinked, cheeks tightening at the public snub. Before the frost could thicken, Mason breezed in, grinning like we were still newlyweds, as if nothing had fractured between us. At lunch he showered me with choice bites and sweet questions. I answered with silence, fishing every morsel he placed in my bowl back out. When his mask finally slipped, he switched tactics and began peeling shrimp for me. I was about to shove my chair back when his sister piped up. Sis always brings dessert. Where is it tonight? Eleanor gave a thin laugh. Eat your dinner. She refused. Apparently, her list of demands has grown too grand for simple requests. The clatter of their voices scraped my nerves. Tape over their mouths sounded heavenly. Mason's syrupy act grated worst of all. I slammed my bowl down. Porcelain cracked against mahogany. Every head whipped toward me. Eleanor and Sophie freezing mid-sentence. I cleared my throat. Mason and I are getting divorced. 3 pairs of eyes bulged. Once the golden couple. We were now announcing our own obituary. Richard recovered first. Frown etched deep. Marriage isn't poker. You don't fold on a whim. Dad, I've never been more certain. Mason's voice sliced in. Arctic calm. Iris, I won't sign. You already agreed. I was furious. I've had time to think. I won't divorce. I'll cut off every woman outside. Problem solved. So that's his verdict. I'm merely pitching a fit over his affairs. I shut my eyes. Mason, we ran out of road long ago. Not every mistake earns forgiveness. Not every mess can be mopped. You're not 19 anymore. And I'm not 20. Let's quit while we still remember the good parts. I inhaled. Splitting is best for both of us. Without waiting for rebuttals, I grabbed my bag and left. After the announcement, mutual friends parachuted in with pep talks. We'd been Riverdale's fairy tale. They couldn't bear the epilogue. One weekend call. Iris, is the divorce rumor true? You two were magic, everybody saw it. Rethink this, okay? Put Mason on, I said. Neither of you will change my mind. Russell. Then Mason's furious rasp. Why keep picking at the wound? Yeah. I cheated, but so did you. We're even. I never wanted out. I still don't. Watching me crawl. Does that thrill you? Let me guess. I shot back. Because you never planned to leave. I should be grateful. Since I retaliated, I'm suddenly the unforgiving villain. Nice logic. A beat of quiet. I didn't say that. We're ghosts of ourselves. Mason, hurting for sport. He snorted. Rushing to sign, afraid your new toy will bolt. He's not the saint you think. Iris. Dylan, heir to the Davenport billions. Tomorrow night his family throws the engagement ball. Want front row seats to reality? I hung up, pulse ricocheting. The Davenports, New York's richest. I'd believed he was just another broke college kid. Next evening, I walked into their crystal-spangled ballroom anyway. Dylan stood near the string quartet, tailored tux, effortless poise. Every inch the prince he'd hidden from me. I just couldn't see what made me worth that much trouble. Halfway through the gala, the Davenport patriarch announced that the Davenport and Harrington families were uniting their empires through marriage. Dylan spotted me. His cool eyes lit up the instant he recognized me, and he smiled. I couldn't be bothered to answer. I'd already gotten the outcome I wanted, so I turned and walked out. When Mason saw me leave, he followed. Back inside the car he studied my silence, then gave a smug laugh. Now you see what kind of man he really is? I didn't answer. Noticing my expression, he took out a velvet box and flipped it open. Inside sat a diamond ring. Babe, I know you're only punishing me. I was an idiot. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I still love you. The ring glittered, but my mind flashed back to the day I'd first married Mason. Both families had opposed the wedding. The Sterlings even froze Mason's bank accounts. I'd stood by him while he built Sterling from scratch. In the early days, we almost missed payroll. We were broke and lived on instant noodles for a month. Too poor to add an egg. Yet he always slipped his into my bowl and insisted we share it. When the company finally turned profitable, he designed an engagement ring himself and proposed again. I didn't have money the first time and I made you suffer, he'd said. Voice breaking. I'd nodded through tears. And he'd held me and cried like a child. The ring in front of me now was stunning, bigger, brighter, but it couldn't rival that first small band. Mason still thought I was throwing a tantrum because I had once loved him so completely. He believed he would always win. I lifted the new ring from its slot and studied it. His eyes sparkled with hope. He seemed to have forgotten that I hadn't worn a ring since the day I discovered he'd cheated. It's beautiful, but it's not me. I set it back inside the box. The light in his gaze dimmed. That's okay. Tell me what you like and I'll find it. Did you sign the divorce papers? Hurry up, or I'll file for divorce in court. He looked stunned, then annoyed. What do you mean? You just saw that kid get engaged. I apologized. Why do you still want a divorce? Stop pushing me. Is it so hard to grasp? I want a divorce. Not because of anyone else, simply because I don't love you anymore. I'm done. I stepped out of the car. A sharp crack sounded behind me. Mason had hurled the ring against the dash. I was calling the Sterling driver when I saw Dylan walking toward me. He stared at me with wounded eyes. If I don't come looking, you'll never contact me again. Right. You even blocked me. me. He waved his phone as proof. I suddenly remembered deleting his WhatsApp the night we parted and never restoring it. A flicker of guilt surfaced, then I caught myself. Guilty for what? He took my phone, tapped a few times, and returned his contact to my list. Watching his name reappear, I blurted what I was thinking. Dylan, third son of the Davenport dynasty, what game are you playing with me? I thought we settled this last time. Mason told you? He sighed. I didn't mean to hide it. The right moment never came. So he dragged you here thinking I'd be the one getting engaged tonight. You've got it wrong. That wasn't about me. I knew it wasn't you. I cut him off before he could explain. Of course I'd known. If Mason had sources, so did I. I'd attended only to drive the final nail into his complacency. When I stayed silent, Dylan spoke carefully. Iris, divorce him. I can be your safety net. Every share I hold in Davenport, every dollar, can be signed over to you. Tempting, genuinely tempting. His earnestness left me dazed. Was this what love looked like when it went all in? I exhaled slowly. If you actually did that, your parents would murder me. 10 years ago, I might have believed you. He lowered his head. You don't trust me, Iris. I envy Mason so much it hurts. He was your husband. He had all of you. Most of all, he once owned the brightest part of your heart, and I can't even get half. I'm not asking you to love me the way you loved him. Just leave a corner for me and let me work from there, okay? His words rattled me. I'd never guessed he felt this deeply. Our beginning had been so ordinary. Where had things shifted? I couldn't answer. My driver arrived at the perfect moment, and I escaped into the car. Dylan and I were never walking the same road. Mason still refused to sign. Eleanor rang over and over. I ignored every call. Her calls had never brought anything good. Only lectures about grandchildren. Mason and I had agreed to wait, yet she forced herbal supplements on me until I felt sick. Those years had drained me. Whenever I missed a call, her sugar-coated barbs sliced like scalpels. And Mason always claimed she meant well. The phone rang again, but this time it was a mutual friend. Iris, come quick. Mason's drinking like crazy. No one can stop him. He'll end up in the same old script, fight, binge, beg forgiveness. My pity had always caved. Tonight I was empty. Don't call me. If he wants to pickle himself, that's on him. We're getting divorced. The line went silent. But, his liver. Come on, couples argue. Take him home. I snapped. Drive him to your place. Then, every fight, you all tell me to swallow my anger. Why not lecture him? You're my friends too. We're finished. Let us keep a shred of dignity. I hung up and texted Mason. Sign the papers. Tomorrow 9 a.m. at Brooklyn City Hall clerk's office. Or I sell my Sterling shares to Davenport. He showed up. Hair unruly. Eyes bloodshot. Obviously no sleep. I handed him the folder. He signed without reading. Watching him, I added, we split everything 50-50. The penthouse is yours. The rest is mine. He nodded. Voice hoarse. Okay. Walking out of City Hall felt like shrugging off lead. Mason trailed. Defeated. He started to speak. Saw my smile. And shut his mouth. I turned and found Dylan leaning against his car. Waving. Sunlight in his grin. He strode over. Iris. You're free. I've waited ages. May I steal you for lunch? Seeing him shift from gala ice prince to eager puppy was disorienting. Before I could answer, Mason lunged forward. Plenty of playmates out there. Rich boy. My wife is off limits. Dylan's gaze went arctic. Ex-wife. Actually, you had her and wasted the chance. Someone else will treasure her. He shoved Mason aside and ushered me into his car. As he drove, calm and steady, I let out a long breath. Dylan, let's not see each other again. We don't fit. Iris, I know what you're worried about, but I'm serious. My family won't stand in our way, and I also know you're not ready to jump into a new relationship. Could you stop shutting me out? Just give me a chance. What was I supposed to do? Reject him outright? With his connections and ability, he basically had no worries. He wouldn't give up. He kept his gaze fixed on my eyes. I had never felt a red light last this long. Let me think about it. We never finished that meal. I went home. Every portion of the divided assets had already been transferred into my name, and I'd submitted my resignation to the company. After the handoff, I'd fly back to Portland, move in with Margaret, and then travel. There were a few final things still in the house I'd shared with Mason, so I made a trip, afraid the movers might damage them. The moment I opened the door, Mason, standing in the doorway, looked stunned. He hadn't expected me to come back. Judging by his appearance, he'd just woken up with a hangover and wasn't fully lucid. I didn't want to get tangled up with him, so I brushed past, headed straight to the room, and started packing. When it came time to pack, there really wasn't much left. I'd taken most of it last time. All I really needed were the necklace my grandmother had given me and a couple of design trophies I'd won. When everything was ready, I passed the vanity and suddenly remembered the engagement ring I'd taken off. I picked it up and studied it for a long moment. Mason hovered nervously in the doorway while I packed. shocked. I held the ring out to him. "You made this with your own hands. I'm giving it back." He stared at the ring, didn't dare take it, covered his face, and let out quiet sobs. He seemed to be remembering something too. He was crying. The last time he'd cried like this was when he'd been courting investors for the company, pouring drinks with those bosses. Seeing how young we were, they kept forcing the liquor on us. One of them, thinking I was pretty, started groping me. Mason lost his temper and hit the guy. The deal went up in smoke, and he came under fire. He sobbed in my arms, choking on apologies, feeling he'd let me down and put me through humiliation. Later the company still secured funding, and Mason went from Little Sterling to President Sterling. After that, he never cried again. I pressed the ring into his hand, lifted my bags, and walked away. "Iris, I'm sorry. I'm sorry." This apology was more heartfelt, more sincere than any he'd given before. The handover at work was almost finished. I'd booked my ticket home. Just inside the boarding gate at JFK Airport, I spotted a familiar figure, Dylan, waving at me. I couldn't hear him, but I already knew what he wanted to say. "Iris, stay safe and be happy." I smiled at him. "I will." When I pushed open the door back home in Portland, the table was laden with dishes. Margaret came out of the kitchen at the sound. "You're home. Go wash your hands, food's ready." "Okay." See, I've always been surrounded by happiness. Dylan's side story. The first time I saw Iris was at a private restaurant in Manhattan. My family was celebrating my 15th birthday. I spilled juice on my shirt and was heading for the restroom to clean up. She was in the corridor too, watching me fumble with the stain. "You'll only make it worse. Let me help." She bent her head, carefully blotting the fabric. So close I caught the faint scent of her perfume. Lovely. The stain never came out completely. "Looks like it won't come out. There's just a hint left. Here, take my scarf to cover it." She undid the silk scarf at her neck, tied it over the spot, patted my shoulder, and walked off hand in hand with some guy. Back then she was radiant, as bright as sunlight. After college abroad I ran into her again, still beautiful, even more captivating. Only she hardly smiled anymore. I did a quick search and discovered her husband was cheating. They had once been so much in love. A man who betrays that doesn't deserve her. So I purposely closed the distance between us. Mason's side story. Because Iris's health was delicate and Eleanor kept nagging about grandchildren, she left the company to recuperate at home. Business was hectic, so we hired a new assistant, bright, playful, young, just like Iris had been years ago. I could tell she liked me. A young girl's thoughts are easy to read, and her gaze was blazing. At first I warned her off. Then, seeing her hurt, I felt bad. Was I too harsh? After all, liking someone isn't a crime. I loved Iris. I didn't want to betray her, but that night was an accident. Drunk, I mistook the girl for Iris, crossed the line, felt chaotic. I swore not to tell Iris. I gave the girl money to leave, only she loved me too much to go. I couldn't bear it, so she kept trailing me secretly. That evening things went too far. When I got home, Iris sensed something was off. She questioned me like a madwoman. I regretted it, broke it off with the girl. Iris was too agitated, trying to calm her. I made her fall. I honestly didn't mean to. Then she went eerily quiet. I promised I would never do it again. Yet after that she never showed me a pleasant face again. She went back to work. I couldn't stand her coldness. No matter how I begged, she stared at me with indifference. So I arranged for her to walk in on me kissing another woman, and still she had no reaction. I was livid. I handed her money, and she just silently took it. Whatever outrageous thing I did after that, she ignored. I was seething and powerless, until one day I caught Iris checking our joint assets and consulting attorneys. Panic flickered through me, but I stayed calm. We had too many entangled interests, and Iris loved me. She was just angry. I'd cut the girl off for good, paid her a final sum, sent her away. Yesterday, I came home early with a gift, only to find Iris in the underground garage, kissing another man. How could she? I went ballistic, fought the guy. Back at the house, Iris demanded a divorce. She even announced it in front of my parents. I didn't agree, but she made the decision alone. She said it wasn't because of anyone else. She simply didn't love me anymore, so the marriage had to end. I couldn't accept it. I fled and went into hiding to force me into signing. She threatened to sell her Sterling shares to Dylan's family. We still ended up divorced. Iris gave the engagement ring back. I cried. I realized she truly didn't love me anymore. I had lost the Iris who had stood by me when we had nothing. I'm sorry, Iris. I really regret it. Thanks for listening to today's story. If you liked the video, please like and share it with friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more wonderful stories. See you next time.